Hello, my sweet summer children. I'm back with the juice to get you through the long nights. So the trailer came out for season 8. As we all know, we've talked about it 1,000 times, and we didn't get to see some of our favorite characters. And a lot of people have been asking me, where is Bronn? So we are going to be talking about Sir Bronn of the Blackwater. So we didn't get to see Bronn in the trailer, and there was this one shot, and Talking Thrones actually pointed out that this could be Bronn holding a bow. It's also being said that Jaime is actually yelling Bronn or Jon. I don't know. I'll play it and you tell me what you think he's saying, Bronn or Jon. So what do you think? Is it Bronn or Jon? I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say what I think. I don't think it's Jon. So it's probably Bronn. So I think Bronn is in Winterfell. I think Bronn is going to fight the army of the dead. Bronn definitely was filming, and Bronn definitely is not filming with Cersei. Jerome Flynn, the actor that plays Bronn, and my queen, Lena Headey, the actress that plays Cersei, used to date in real life, and they apparently hate each other, and they both have it in their contracts that they will not film scenes together. So, it's not an accident that Bronn takes Podrick out of the dragon pit before Cersei arrives, and that's the tea. So, Bronn can't be anywhere else but with Jaime. Now, I say this because he can't film with Cersei, and because he's not going to let Jaime get away without giving him his castle. He wants his castle. Now, things are confusing about Bronn because in the books, now this is going to be book spoilers here, Bronn already has his castle and his wife. In the books, Bronn actually marries Lawless Stokeworth. So Lawless is dim-witted and pregnant with a bastard. So Lawless was with the court when they went to send Myrcella away to Dorne, and the small folk attacked them, and Lawless was raped by 1,000 men, and she got pregnant with a bastard. So Bronn marries Lawless. All of this is arranged via Cersei so that Bronn won't fight for Tyrion against the Mountain. So Bronn marries Lawless. Lawless gives birth to a bastard baby boy, and Bronn names the baby Tyrion, and Cersei is like, hell no. Cersei's pissed about it. So Lawless has a sister, Felice Stokeworth.
When mother dies, my sister gets the castle because she's older. She hates me.
Cersei basically invites Felice and her husband to dinner and asks them to kill Bronn. Her husband tries to kill Bronn, and then Bronn kills her husband, and Felice comes crying to Cersei, and Cersei gives Felice to Qyburn's creepy ass to experiment with her and do whatever Qyburn does with girls. Qyburn is actually much more creepy in the books than he is on the show. But anyway, so Bronn is married with a bastard baby named Tyrion in a castle named Stokeworth. So they started to follow this book thread in season 5. They started to do this, but then they diverted when Jaime showed up to take Bronn to Dorne.
Who's that?
Jaime fucking Lannister.
I don't know what effect, if any, that all has or could have on season 8, but maybe there's something there. But anyway, in season 8, I think Bronn is going to be right behind Jaime leaving King's Landing. So I actually believe that Jaime could stop in the Riverlands to gather up any Lannister forces that are left in the Riverlands. Like these guys that said they were headed to the Twins.
What are you doing in the Riverlands?
There's been some trouble with the Freys up at the Twins, so we're part of the army that's been sent to keep the peace.
And maybe bring them with him to Winterfell. Get all the help he can. He knows they need numbers. I doubt that Jaime wants to show up to Winterfell empty-handed. It's possible he could even grab Edmure Tully from the dungeons. It is in the Riverlands I believe he will meet up with Bronn again. It was in the Riverlands where Bronn first met Tyrion. So it would be fitting that another meeting in the Riverlands would take Bronn back to Tyrion. I actually believe that Tyrion is going to have a lot to do with the preparation for the battle at Winterfell. Tyrion has experience a lot of experience preparing a castle for battle. We see him do this with King's Landing. Tyrion prepared King's Landing for the Battle of the Blackwater. In the show, he studies maps and books and does the wildfire thing, but in the books, it's a lot different. Tyrion does a lot to prepare King's Landing. Cersei does a lot too. Let me give her credit. She does a lot too. But Tyrion takes over the wildfire thing. He also sends his Stone Crows, Black Ears, and Moon Brothers into the Kingswood to like raid Stannis' camps and kill his scouts. Prior to the battle, he also has Bronn burn everything from the Blackwater Rush to the walls of the Red Keep to make it more difficult for Stannis to breach the city, because all of that stuff that Bronn burned would have made it easier for Stannis to climb the walls. But the biggest thing he does is he sets a trap. So Tyrion commands that this huge chain be built or made. Because you don't really build the chain, right? You make it. So the chain is a trap. Tyrion's trap. It's so the ships can't escape once they enter the harbor. Bronn is put in charge of the oxen that pulls the chain to tighten it. Even from atop the Merlon, he had been too short to see over the ramparts. So once the ships are in the harbor, the chain blocks them from getting out. So the show didn't do the chain. They substituted the chain for like an arrow that ignites the wildfire. But anyway, Bronn is knighted for this, and he takes the name Sir Bronn of the Blackwater. So I think in episode 1 and 2, we will see Tyrion helping in preparations for Winterfell for siege and battle against the army of the dead. I think Bronn arrives there in the beginning of episode 2, maybe at the end of episode 1. Now, this could be Bronn, and Bronn could do something like he did in season 2 with the whole Battle of the Blackwater thing, giving some signal. Maybe Daenerys is somewhere with her dragons and they want her to come from behind to attack the Night King. Maybe the Unsullied attack from the front and the Dothraki need a signal to come behind. I really think you're going to have to flank the army to defeat it, much like Stannis did with Mance's army. When you're outnumbered like that, you have to have a different kind of battle plan. If Jaime is yelling Bronn, then does that mean that Bronn dies? So I've been giving some thought to Bronn dying. And in the show, Bronn is a much more central character than in the books. In the books, he's absent really since Tyrion's trial. All we know of him comes from Cersei's conversations with Khaleesi. But I did some digging, and in an interview, George was asked if Bronn's story was over, and George said Bronn still has a part to play. He will definitely be back. George was asked another question about who was going to live and die at Balticon, and this is what he says. I know who's going to be on the Iron Throne. I know who's going to win some of the battles. I know the major characters. Who's going to die, how they're going to die, who's going to get married, and all that. The major characters. Of course, along the way, I made up a lot of minor characters. You know, did I know in 1991 what was going to happen to Bronn? No, I didn't even know there'd be a guy named Bronn. I was inventing him along the way when I was writing. Okay, he gets kidnapped. Let's see. There are a couple sellswords there. Their names are Fred and Bronn. It was actually Bronn and Chicken, and then one of them dies. I flip a coin. Okay, who dies? Chicken dies because his name is stupid. Bronn is a better name, so I'll keep Bronn. And then Bronn became quite an interesting character, and plenty of these characters take on minds of their own. So George, at this time, George doesn't have an ending for Bronn yet. But the previous quote from him lets us know that Bronn is going to be back in the books, and in the show, we see that he is around in King's Landing, and he's likely going to follow Jaime up to Winterfell and help prepare the castle for Winterfell. Like, just for a second, I'm so glad that George did not name Bronn Chicken, because that Dickon joke would not have even been funny. It wouldn't have been funny if Bronn's name was Chicken. But anyway, so back to the question of if Bronn will live or die. So I want Bronn to live. I want him to survive the battle and get the castle and the happy life. But this is Game of Thrones. I mean, it would be so perfect for the poor sellsword from Flea Bottom to get a castle. And yes, I do think Bronn is a poor sellsword from Flea Bottom. I've wondered at this for a while. Like, I've wondered about all the theories. Is Bronn a wildling? Is Bronn a man of the Night's Watch? Is Bronn a faceless man? I mean, Bronn does say that he traveled beyond the wall before, I don't know what for, but I kind of just think that Bronn is a sellsword. But I don't think he's a Night's Watch deserter because Sir Alistair Thorne didn't know who he was when he was in King's Landing. He could very well be a wildling. I mean, he totally could be a wildling that just managed to get to King's Landing very early in his life. I mean, the only one I would want to be true is Bronn being a Reign of Castamere. So the theory is that Bronn is the long lost son of House Reign and he's taking vengeance on the Lannisters. Actually, it would be crazy if he actually was a Reign of Castamere and the castle that he ends up with is Casterly Rock. That would be a big F you to Tywin's ghost. But no, I think he's just a sellsword. George describes him as a sellsword, and I would like him to have a happy ending, but I don't think he's gonna get it. I think he is at Winterfell, and I think Jaime is saying Bronn, and I think the reason he's saying it is because Bronn has fallen in battle. Now, what I can see happening though, is we know that Bronn knows how to work a scorpion. He is the only person on the show with experience of shooting dragons. He shot Drogon. So the only other person on the show that knows how to shoot a dragon is the Night King. So it could be Bronn that takes down Viserion. That I would love to see. But I'm looking forward to all of the Bronn lines in season 8. And I hope that Bronn does get his dream of a castle. But I'm thinking it's not going to happen. But what do you think? As always, thanks for watching. Thanks to everyone that supports me on Patreon. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please click that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and join the Sweet Summer family. Okay, my sweet summer children, have a good day.